Senator Boxer, thanks for coming on KTNV. The last time I saw you in Nevada, you were up on stage at that raucous Democratic convention here in May. I know that was not the most fun experience for you, but don't you think, looking back on that now, that that was a harbinger of what occurred in Philadelphia yesterday and may occur yet again today? Wasn't that, couldn't we have predicted that?
No, I never would have predicted what happened to me in Las Vegas. But let me just say what I thought then and what I still think now. I think that there are a small proportion of Bernie Sanders supporters. Bernie is my colleague. He ran an amazing campaign. There's a small percentage who perhaps don't remember what happened when there was no unification before and we lost an election to George W. Bush because Ralph Nader was a third-party candidate. I think what we have to do is set aside our disappointments. Lord knows I've had them. I lost my own election once. It hurts. But you have to look at the bigger picture. And I really praise Bernie for, his message, which is this is now the time to keep on pushing forward with the issues we believe in, but get behind Hillary Clinton.
I guess what I remember, Senator, and you do too, was essentially the accusation at the Nevada convention. And I was there when you spoke. It was really astonishing. It was a relatively small number of the Bernie Sanders supporters, but they were complaining about a rigged system. You tried to tell them that they were booing you. They were booing Bernie Sanders because he was a friend of yours. They put a picture, a sign up in front of the camera so the rest of the convention couldn't see them. There was no reasoning with them. You tried. I was there. Don't you think that's a problem going forward?
Yeah. I think it's an issue going forward. It's not a problem, John, because it's a very small number of people, in my opinion. And look, they booed Bernie this morning at what I understand at the California delegation. They booed Bernie, who they adore. So it's a small number of people. And, we could focus on that, or we could focus on the fact that there are millions and millions of Americans who need to be involved in our great campaign, that we're going to make history, and that Hillary stands for uniting us all. Trump stands for dividing us all. He's insulted 3/4 of America. She wants to bring us together because, as she says, we're stronger when we're together, and Bernie will be by her side, and President Obama will be by her side, and Michelle Obama will be by her side, and she'll have some Republicans by her side. She'll have a very large umbrella of support. That's what I think. And yes, there'll be a small number of people who will go for someone else, and that's their right.
I guess what I'm wondering is, since that May appearance in Nevada and now up through Philadelphia, have you had conversations with Bernie Sanders? You've served with him a long time together. You are friends.
Oh, yes.
And I guess what I'm wondering is, did you get the sense from his speech that he truly is committed to campaigning for Hillary Clinton, to trying to bring his voters along? I mean, polls show 90% are coming anyhow, but even the smallest number, if the election is close, could be a problem, right?
Well, it all depends. We don't know how many of these folks never would have voted anyway. We don't know how many of them, frankly, came into the campaign from outside the party and outside the system. But I mean, so far, that's all you've asked me about, which is totally fine. Yes, I believe Bernie is totally sincere. He has said it from day one. The last thing he wants to do is hand this election to Donald Trump. And Bernie was totally sincere. And I think there are some people who are affiliated with his campaign who really don't even speak for Bernie, because they booed Bernie, some of them, at the breakfast, the California breakfast. So I just think it's time to move on from there. People have an absolute right, to pout and not get involved or vote for someone else and say whatever they want, and that's their right. This is America. We do what we want at the end of the day. But I do feel when people look at the stakes involved in this, it's everything that we care about is at stake, whether it's foreign policy, peace in the world. I mean, Donald Trump said he admired Saddam Hussein and Kim Jong-un and Vladimir Putin. I mean, in all sincerity, this is not someone we want as the leader of the free world.
Well, what's your take, Senator? I know you want to move forward, as of course everybody at that convention wants to move forward. But the timing of this of the leak story of the Democratic National Committee emails. I think some people who've been around politics a while, and probably including yourself, although you might not acknowledge it here, said, sure, we knew the DNC was tipping the scales toward Hillary Clinton, but this seems to reinforce the worst of what Donald Trump and to some extent Bernie Sanders have been saying about a rigged system. Can you get past that?
I don't think there's anything in those emails that say there's a rigged system. Let me tell you what they showed. They showed that there were individuals in the DNC who were rooting for Hillary. And frankly, when you're in a contested primary, even though it's true, Bernie, this was the first time Bernie ever ran as a Democrat after tens of maybe 40 years in politics, he was running as a Democrat, and it was their job to stay neutral. They didn't, and that's wrong. And Bernie ran a great campaign, Hillary ran a great campaign, and that effort that they waged in the states had nothing to do with what was going on in emails in the DNC. They just went out and got the most votes they could. Hillary got more votes. And I think Bernie is 100% on board, and some of his people simply, are, just can't get over the fact that they didn't win. Let me just say to them, if they're watching, I know how it feels, but Bernie made an amazing contribution to the platform and to what we're talking about in politics. So they should be very proud. And Bernie's a U.S. Senator, and have I spoken with him? Like almost every day I've seen him in the Senate. We're very close, and we work very closely together.
We're speaking just a little bit before you're going to go speak to the convention tonight and talk about Hillary Clinton. I'm wondering what you think. You've seen all the polling that shows both of these candidates have a high number of Americans who distrust them. Michelle Obama, in her speech, seemed to be saying with her line of "we go high, they go low," that maybe Hillary Clinton shouldn't get down in the muck with Donald Trump. But does she have a choice?
Yeah. Well, she has said over and over again she's not going to answer his insults to her. She is going to answer his insults to the American people. And I think that's exactly right, because she's running to represent us and fight for us. She does that very well, and I'll be talking about that in my speech tonight.
We only have a couple of minutes left, Senator. I wanted to ask you about something since I probably won't get another chance. As you know, another person speaking to the convention is Nevada's own Senator Harry Reid. You've served with Harry Reid for a long time. This is his last year in office. If you had to distill for me what Harry Reid's legacy is as a U.S. Senator, what would you say?
Harry has fought so hard to do the right thing for the people who really needed him to be there for him, whether it's the dreamers or people with disabilities or creating good paying infrastructure jobs. He's been my partner in all these things. He's been a leader in all these things. And for his beloved state, he never stopped working for that state in every way, protecting it from a nuclear waste dump and caring about the health of its people and protecting Social Security and fighting for education for all. I can't say enough about Harry. We came in almost the same time into politics. We're leaving together this time. And he calls me his sister. I call him my brother. Harry is a man of his word. And that's an overused statement. But when he looks at you and he says, I am with you and I will fight in that bunker with you, boy, he will do it. And he's been with me at times when I was, maybe going against the majority. So he's a very special person, and he will be missed so much by so many people who never got to meet him.
1 minute left, Senator, real quickly. Do you think Harry Reid bears any responsibility for the terrible approval numbers that Congress has, for the dysfunction in the U.S. Senate, because he's been an obstructionist in some people's minds? Do you think he bears some culpability there?
Well, actually, Harry Reid doesn't bear any culpability at all. He wants to get things done, and he doesn't run the show over there. As you know, I think our approval is 10%. The Republicans run both houses of Congress. And Harry has said, let's go, let's raise the minimum wage. They said no. Let's do comprehensive immigration reform. They said no. Let's do equal pay for equal work. They said no. Let's make sure that we protect this country from the ravages of climate change. Let's make sure we have the funds we need to fight the Zika virus. I could go on and on and on.
Unfortunately,
He
we're out
doesn't
of
have a
time. They're telling
partner
me
there.
the satellite's
So
going to close.
Yeah, okay.
Senator, thanks so much for
Okay.
joining us. I
Okay.
really do appreciate the time.
It's been a pleasure. Bye, John.
Thanks.